Clint Sumrow chairs the Texas Slam, the largest junior tennis tournament in the country, bringing over 500 players to Plano every June. Today he breaks down how players earn their spot in the draw, what the week looks like, and exactly what families need to know to compete.
All right, as we said today, Clint Sumrow, Director of Tennis from the High Point Tennis Center and Chairman of the Texas Slam, the largest tennis tournament in the country for junior tennis. Welcome, Clint. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Joel. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to talking to you.
So you got a pretty incredible story. I mean, you grew up in the area. You captained tennis, Plano Senior High School, one of the top-ranked junior players in the state. Before going in the tennis industry, you worked for Prince, district sales manager for Head, and then you eventually became director of High Point Tennis Center and chairman of the Texas Slam. How do you go from competing at such a high level to the organizational side of tennis? What was that journey like?
Yeah, I grew up playing tennis as well as baseball and basketball, but then when I got to high school, I decided to stick with tennis, and I had some injuries here and there, but ended up being one of the top-ranked players in Texas. I decided to go to University of Texas at Austin just to get an economics degree, and I was actually doing corporate finance for a couple of years, and then an opportunity came up in Sherman, Texas, which is about an hour north of Dallas, to run this little private facility with 2 indoor courts, some outdoor courts, a pool. So I did that for about a year, and I really enjoyed it. And then I was at a USPTA conference in Grapevine, like the coaches conference. And at those conferences, the manufacturers bring in sales reps and they have like a buying show. And anyway, I just started talking to the print sales rep at the time and found out that they were looking to hire like a new rep that, was willing to travel a lot, go out and cover North Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. And it sounded like a pretty cool opportunity. So I applied and interviewed and got that job. And I was with them for about 4 years. And then Head Penn kind of recruited me. And that was at the time when they were really taking off, when Djokovic switched to Head and their rackets were really popular. And then the Penn tennis ball, I think they had, when I was a rep, we had like 65% market share in the US. So I was with Head Penn for about 11 years, really enjoyed the sales rep job. It was a fun job. Got to go see a lot of different clubs, facilities, got to know a lot of the coaches. And I was always like a racket guy. I always thought it was really cool to see the rackets ahead of time and the string. Right. I was always into the technology. So it's really cool that I got to go to these really cool sales meetings, go to some nice tournaments, see some product, and then just get out and show it. And I really enjoyed that for a long time. And then my dad has been the director he was the director at High Point Tennis Center since it opened in 1978. And he was planning on retiring the past few years. So I came in and started working full time with him. I'd always helped him out with some tournaments and some other things, coaching here and there. So I was the assistant director with him for about 3 years. And then last year in 2025, the city of Plano decided to put an RFP out once he announced he was retiring. And there were other companies that submitted bids, but they had a little committee, some people from the city and the parks, and they chose my company. And my dad officially retired December 31st, 2025, and I took over January 1st, 2026. And I really love it here. It's a great facility. City of Plano has done a great job. They did a big renovation in 2020. They built this new pro shop, and where the old shop used to be in the middle, they put a center court out there and just redid a lot of the landscaping and made it just this beautiful facility that's a great setup for big events such as the Texas Slam. We also host sectionals. Talking to USTA right now about hosting some national events. We've done some in the past, and also like USTA player development camps. On top of like our own programs, I got like 8 full-time coaches, about 20 part-time coaches. We do tons of classes, private lessons, junior groups. We do a ton of in-house leagues, I think in the spring we hosted a combined 93 teams when you had USTA, Metro, TCD. Wow. So we're just a busy facility. And I grew up working here, working behind the desk when I was like probably 12, 13, teaching lessons when I was 15, 16. So I've always grown up in this environment. I love it. It doesn't feel like work when I come in here because I just enjoy it so much.
Yeah, that's certainly lucky because when you go to work, it doesn't feel like a job. You can't really ask for more than that. So.
Yeah, I got a great staff here. Coaches, Coach Judy, she's been here. I think she started a year after my dad, so she's been here over 45 years. And a lot of the coaches have been here for decades. In fact, I haven't lost a coach in 3 years. We just have a good, loyal crew of coaches that enjoy being out here. A lot of them are part-time and they have other things going on in their lives, but they come out here and enjoy working with kids, adults, whatever it is. It's just a fun atmosphere where people can come out, get some exercise, some socialization, learn tennis or pickleball, and just enjoy their time out here.
That's terrific. Well, it sounds like a very personal journey with your dad having worked there and really led the facility for so many years. And for those people that haven't had the opportunity to visit High Point Tennis Center, I mean, it is an amazing facility. And to Clint's point, you walk in the door and the first thing you see is a racket stringer right there on the right. Having said that, now I get it. Like, I get why you put it right there because it's kind of neat to watch if you haven't seen it. So,
yeah.
So,
yeah, and our racket stringer, Justin, he's one of the best in not just Texas, but the country. He's strung at the US Open, Indian Wells, Cincinnati, River Oaks each year. And the last 2 years, Yonex is the official stringer for the Australian Open. And they've actually flown him all the way across the world to string at the Australian Open for the top coaches. So he does a great job, and he strings during the Texas Slam. I think last year, in the 5 days of the tournament, he strung 135 rackets. One day he strung 34, and it takes about 20 minutes to string a racket. So it was a long day for him, but he cranks it out and does a great job for us.
Yeah. So on a personal level, and near and dear to my heart, though, I know you were diagnosed with cancer, Ewing sarcoma, very rare bone cancer, pretty young age, treated at Children's Medical Center, Dallas. What was that experience like? 5 years old, you're pretty young. But based on what I know about your history, it definitely kind of molded your path, into your adult life. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when I was 5 years old, I'm right-handed, and I noticed some pain in my right arm. So my parents took me to the doctor, and they're like, you need to go get x-rays, and then sent me to Children's for biopsy and found out that I had Ewing sarcoma, which is rare bone cancer in my right humerus right here. So immediately started the chemotherapy, radiation, and after about a year or so of treatment, I was cancer-free. And I can show you, like, I've had lots of scars and stuff from all the surgeries and everything I had. I actually played tennis with my right arm here. Wow. I can't play too much, but again, I was one of the top players in Texas and still competed a lot as an adult. But yeah, I'm competitive.
I don't doubt it.
But so after I finished my treatment at Children's, my parents started a charity tournament called the Children Helping Children Tennis Tournament to raise money to give back to Children's for several reasons, but mainly because they saved my life. And it lasted 30 years, and we raised a total of $3.5 million for pediatric research and programs at Children's Hospital. We couldn't host it in 2020 due to the pandemic, and that was the 30th year, and it was kind of time to just set new goals and do different things. But it was a great tournament. It was a USTA sanctioned tournament. We'd get over 500 players each year. And the coolest thing about the tournament was most of the fundraising was done by the kids that played the tournament. They'd go around to their neighbors, friends. I remember back in the day just mailing out letters to our friends before email and just say, hey, I'm playing this tournament. Will you sponsor me? And, most of the fundraising was done by the kids. And we used to have this big party the night before the tournament where they'd turn in their money, and we'd have prizes and stuff for the kids that raised the most money. And we'd have DJ and food and games. And it was a really cool tournament. I've looked into doing something in the future, but right now I got my hands pretty full with a lot of other things. And I'm also on the board of Wipe Out Kids Cancer, which is a childhood cancer organization. So I help out with that and do other events to support childhood cancer.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk a little about the Slam. Again, the Texas Slam is the largest junior tennis tournament in the United States. I mean, it's huge. I know it's coming up here very soon, coming days in June. So what, describe the scene. It looked like when you got that many kids showing up at all these sites and the logistics of that.
Yeah, it's a big tournament. It used to be called sectionals. Like I played it back in the day when it was in Wichita Falls, and then I think it's been around for decades. I don't know exactly how long, but it's the biggest tournament in Texas, one of the biggest in the country. A few years ago, the USTA sent out a press release that they were accepting bids to host the 2024 Slam. And my good friend, Walt Williams, who runs a lot of tournaments in Texas, I think he's the best tournament director as far as the scheduling, communication, approached me about partnering together to run the Texas Slam based out of High Point, and with our resources of other facilities and site directors and referees and officials, putting it on. So we submitted a bid, and it came down to, I think, the final four. And we had to do Zoom presentation to the junior comp committee, the Texas Slam Force, and they chose High Point. And so this is our third year of running it. 2024 was a little chaotic. We learned a lot that year. We probably scheduled too many matches at High Point, which meant longer days, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's coming up. This will be our third year. Last year was huge success. Everything that we learned the first year, we implemented last year, and it went very smooth. But the Texas Slam, there's 512 total players in the main draw across the 8 divisions, the 12s, 14s, 16s, 18s, boys and girls. They limit the draws to 64 players, and they take the top 56 ranked players in Texas, get in automatically, and then the next 4 are based off WTN, which is USTA's rating scale. So kids with the best WTN that might have been injured and haven't had the opportunity to play a lot of tournaments to get the ranking points, or might just be a good player that hasn't played as many tournaments for whatever reason. And then the last 4 are actually through a qualifying tournament, which is separate from the Texas Slam. So the first day, which will be Saturday, June 6th, we take 16 in each division, and those kids basically have to win 2 matches to get in the main draw of the Slam. So 64 players in each, it's 512 players, and then they take 32 doubles teams. So it's a lot of players.
Yeah.
And so the first day is the qualifying and first round of doubles, and then the next day is the big day, which will be that Sunday. Everybody plays 2 main draw singles matches and a round of doubles. So there's 512 singles matches that we have to schedule, find sites for, and that can be challenging. We're fortunate here in Plano that we have a lot of really nice facilities close by with the high schools. This year on that Sunday, we're at 10 different sites. They're all like within 10 miles of High Point, which is nice, but a lot of different high schools. And also Walt works at Huffines Tennis Center in Richardson, so we use there. And then as the tournament winds on, I think Monday we're at 4 sites, Tuesday we're at 3 sites, and then the last couple days of the tournament, everything's here at High Point. But yeah, it's a big tournament, not just getting the sites, but the site directors, the referee. This tournament we get trainers from Children's Health, Andrews Institute. We have a professional photography team. Lloyd and Your Game Face come out here and they do a great job. And then just getting the T-shirts. We provide these really nice T-shirts for all the players, the gift bags. I work with, the tennis manufacturers and visit Plano to get some nice items for the players. And then they also get these really cool player badges with their names on it, with a little lanyard, and getting the staff together to hand those out to the players during the tournament. And I also got to feed everybody on staff, and that can be a lot. Order a lot of Jersey Mikes and pizzas and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I think most.
Yeah, actually, I remember you ordered fajitas last year.
Yeah. Most site directors like working my tournaments because I choose what I like, and it's a lot of Tex-Mex and barbecue, and I love Jersey Mikes. I could eat that almost every day. So just getting all that in place, and then once the tournament starts, it's long days. It's about 15-hour days every day. Just getting up here early and making sure everything's set up and stay until the last match is finished. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, I enjoy the hard work. You just got to embrace the grind because it's long days, but by the end, it's totally worth it.
So I know that the Slam is a closed tournament. Can you talk a little bit about what the difference between a closed and open tournament is?
Yeah, so it's closed to only Texas residents or players in the USTA Texas section. I know a lot of L3s are open to players from all other sections, but this is kind of our, again, it used to be called sectionals. It's the big tournament for Texas. So that's basically what it means, is only Texas residents.
Got it. So another thing that I've heard a lot and parents ask is, what's the path? Like, what's the planning maybe that the parents should look for or look at leading up to the Slam? Do they need to kind of plan out a tournament journey to make sure that their child's got the points needed to get in? Can you, what would you say to a parent that's asking, hey, I want to make sure my child gets in, and it's October? Like, what should we do to make sure we get the points?
Yeah, again, they take the top 56 ranked players automatically. So if you can get your ranking up in the top 56, you're automatically in. By doing that, you got to play a lot of tournaments. You got to train either at your local facility with private coaches and just work hard to get your ranking up there. And then when the registration opens up, you'll have a pretty good idea whether or not you're going to get in. Another advice for the parents is register early. I mean, I had so many people, we even had, I'd say, but kids in our own program that missed the registration deadline. And they do have an opportunity to get in through the qualifying, but we don't accept any late entries for these big tournaments. So make sure you register on time. I mean, they posted about a month out. You have a month to register, and this is one of those tournaments. As soon as it opens up, just register and be done with it, because there's nothing we can do after the fact. I mean, you can get in through the qualifying, but again, just play the tournaments, work hard, and the rankings and the results will kind of speak for themselves.
So when you say ranking, are they looking at certain points on their USTA profile? What should they look for that?
Yeah, it's the USTA ranking list, which I don't know all the details on it, but I'm pretty sure it's accumulated by points. The further you go in a tournament, the more points you get, and then they just total it up. And I mean, when I was a kid, it was like a running total for the year. I'm not sure exactly how they do it, but I think they update it every week so parents can see where their kids are and what they need to do. And if they're kind of on that edge, maybe play some more tournaments, play some of the L6s, the lower tournaments, to just get as many points as you can to get up there.
So you mentioned the qualifying tournament. Is the qualifying tournament kind of difficult to get into? Like you said, I mean, 16 in that draw, so it seems like that's also pretty limited. Of course, I get it with the schedule you guys are already trying to manage, but when is that typically available? I guess probably for next year at this point.
Yeah, well, there was a little mistake this year. They said the registration was going to open like as soon as the entry deadline for the main tournament, but we need the USTA Texas needed a little time to do the selections for the main draw and then select the next 16 players that didn't get into the main draw, and then they have about a week or so to register for the qualifying. And again, we do that like right before the tournament starts on that Saturday morning. And they got to go out and win 2 matches, and you're in the tournament.
So are they looking at like the alternates on the list for the slam, or is that?
Yeah. They just look at like the next. Yeah, they look at the next 16 players that didn't get in automatically, and they give them the opportunity to register. And if those players don't, they just kind of go down the list of who's next on the ranking list.
Yeah, it's a huge event, and I totally get it. I mean, the work you guys do is it's incredible, and there's so many families that talk about it. I mean, I'm around tennis quite a bit every weekend for sure, and I mean, I still see kids walking around with their 2025 Slam credentials tagged to their bag, and they're so proud about that. And they wear the shirts. In fact, I saw somebody wear the Slam shirt from last year, just 2 weeks ago. So you guys, it's something special for sure that you guys do. It's great. One last thing. So I'm curious, your father, like, what was his life? Like, how did he get to where tennis became his life?
Yeah. So my dad grew up in a really small town called Celeste, Texas. I think there were only about 20 people in his high school class, and he played all different types of sports and played some junior college tennis. And then he also eventually graduated from University of Texas at Austin, which is part of the reason I wanted to go there so bad. He used to take me to football games when I was a little kid, and I just fell in love with the university. But after college, he became the high school coach at Plano High School. There used to only be one, and he was working for them for about 4 years. And this was back in the mid-'70s when Plano was still a pretty small town. And then the city of Plano eventually built High Point, and it was about half the size it is now, and asked him to be the director. I think it opened in 1978 with like 10 or 11 courts, pretty small. And then as North Texas, especially Plano, grew, they added more courts, and the place just grew. And, especially after in 2020, they did it was close to a $6 million renovation of the facility. They built this new pro shop, which is about 8,000 square feet, 2 stories. And anybody that's been here, it's like, wow, this place is beautiful. It's such a great setup. I mean, we have people from Austin, Houston, San Antonio come in here all the time like, wow, I wish we had something like this in our city. So we're really fortunate that we have this. And the upstairs where we set up the tournament desk is just set up for big events. It's air conditioned, and it has this great viewing deck where you can see all the courts, and then just the way they laid out the courts with a lot of bleachers and shade is just very spectator friendly. And it's also a beautiful facility with some big trees that have been here since it opened. So yeah, after 2020, a lot of outdoor sports, especially tennis, just grew like crazy, and we're always very popular, but it was with the opening of the new facility and then just the demand for tennis, we blew up in those few years. And I think he was planning on retiring a little bit before he actually did, but because we were just so busy and with the new facility, he's stuck in there for a little while longer. And he still comes in a little bit. He helps me out with some bookkeeping. Back in October, he was inducted to the Texas Tennis Hall of Fame, which is really cool. And then he had a big retirement celebration upstairs where the mayor, the city manager, they were all here, and they named the center court the Ken Sumrow Center Court. And actually, December 17th in the city of Plano is the Ken Sumrow Day. So he actually has a day named after him. So he built a legacy here, established High Point as one of the premier facilities, not just in DFW or Texas, but in the country. And I plan on building on that legacy and just growing from there and improving a lot of things, just modernizing the business a little bit. I'm updating the website and trying to make things a little more automated. My dad was a little creature of habit. He had his, especially his last few years, it worked certain ways for years, and he wasn't going to change it on the last couple of years of his career. But yeah, there are some things that I'm just trying to automate, make it easier, make it more mobile friendly, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it must be fantastic having that much support from the city of Plano. I mean, you can tell anybody that's been there knows that they have just put tremendous investment into High Point Tennis Center and everything that's around there. It's a fantastic facility. So let me wrap up with this. So with the slam right around the corner, you got any last words of advice you want to share with the players or parents, frankly, before things kick off in the coming days?
No, I mean, it's a big tournament, so train like you always do. On the website, we have hotel blocks. We have some deals. I work with Visit Plano to get some deals on restaurants, things to do, some discounts. So when there are the kind of off times or not on the court, there's plenty to do around Plano. And again, we have the hotel blocks where you can get a discounted rate, either at some hotels close to High Point, or there's some nicer hotels in the Shops at Legacy area. And then just be prepared to play. That Sunday, again, everybody's playing 2 matches, so we have to use over 100-something courts. So it's going to be spread out. Get there early, try to get your warm-up in. On the Texas Slam website, we have some practice site locations. A lot of them are schools where it's just kind of first come, first serve. So get there early. Or there's some other local facilities that you can reserve a court, such as the Frisco Community Tennis. They have access to all the school courts up there, which are pretty close. So if you want to guarantee practice time, I would recommend just reserving the court, knowing that you're going to get there, because some of these school courts get busy. And I know last year some of them were under construction, and so just prepare. And we're in June. It's hot. Make sure the kids stay hydrated. We provide bananas, granola bar. We'll have ice and water at all the locations, but you got to start the hydration before the tournament even starts, because it does get hot. We have a lot of players cramp. The trainer stays pretty busy, especially in the afternoon hours with heat problems. Fortunately, we haven't had to call the ambulance or anything recently, but for some of our adult tournaments in August, we have. I think the kids are a little more used to it, but some of them haven't been practicing in the heat. And with this tournament, you're going to play matches in the middle of the day when it's hot out there. So just prepare and get your practice sites lined up, get your hotels booked. We'll post the draws next week, so everybody will know which sites you're playing at least for the first day or two. And then again, as the tournament winds down, we bring the matches, we use fewer sites, and eventually all the quarters and semifinals and finals are here at High Point.
And you mentioned you got some chairs from I think there's some chair matches, right? Some of the kids get to have their matches chaired.
Yeah, so I think it's the semifinals and finals. We get the chairs. That's one of the things I have to do next week, is get the chairs from SMU. I'm good friends with Rex there, and they're fortunate enough to let us borrow those, and they're really extra duty heavy chairs. We got to roll them. The ones on the indoor courts are too big to go through the doors, so we use the outdoor courts, but we have to roll them up this ramp, load them in a U-Haul, and they're too wide to go up the ramp, so we're basically carrying them up there, and then they're too tall to get in there, and so we got to tilt them down, put them in there, strap them in, and then take them, get them to High Point, roll them out on the courts. And then I also borrow a few from Collin College, which is right down the street. They have some chairs. But that's one of the many things on the to-do list to get prepared for the tournament. Luckily, Walt's massive. If you guys don't know Walt, he's about 6'5" and strong. And I have some other friends that are very strong that can handle these chairs and help me out. But yeah, it's a really cool experience for those kids to have the chair matches, a little more experience of a college match or just a higher level tournament, which just adds to the prestige of the Texas Slam.
Well, Clint, we really appreciate it. You guys got a lot on your plate in the coming days. The Texas Slam, the largest tennis tournament for the juniors in the country. So we really appreciate it. Good luck, and we'll talk soon. We'll see you there on the courts.
Thank you, Joel. Looking forward to it.
Thanks. Thank you.